Hello everyone. Hope everyone is fine. So we have started with the basics of TypeScript, and till now we have covered what is TypeScript, features, environmental setup, writing the first programming console and web, and then we have seen the differences of undefined versus null in part two, and let versus where, and we have also covered the data types in TypeScript. If you have missed the last two videos, you can check on my channel. So do subscribe to the channel for regular updates. Also, you can find TypeScript details in the link mentioned in the video. So let's start with the first conditional flow statement. If so, if statement executes a statement based on condition. So if the condition is true, then if statement will execute the statements inside its body. So syntax is mentioned in the slide. So next is if else. So what is difference between if and if else? So basically in if we write one condition and there is no else statement. So that if the condition is true or false, then the statement will be declared. But in if else, if the condition is true, then it will display the statement, or it will go to the else statement. So if else is the mostly used in the application in scenarios we in the live projects. So if you want to execute other statements when the condition in the if statements evaluates to false, you can use if else statement. So there may be a scenario where you have two conditions to be handled, like there are two cards, but you want to display those cards based on the conditions which we are getting from API or any other component. Then we can use multiple if condition, or we say as nested if conditions. So where it says if the condition 1 is true, then execute its statement, or else if the condition 2 is true, then execute second statement, else if both are false, then execute else statement. So the syntax is mentioned in the slide in the bottom. So but there is one problem which arises if condition 1 is true. It will not go to the second if else. So if you need to take care of such scenarios, I would suggest never use this. You can use switch instead of if. If you are using, make sure every scenario satisfies the condition. So next is the switch case. So which I mentioned in the earlier that it's an alternative for the nested if, or you can use in many conditions. So switch case, uh, so how it works? So you can see the syntax of the switch in the slide. So switch case basically are the statement which evaluates the expression. It searches for the first case values whose expression evaluates to the same value as the value, like value 1, value 2, value till value n, so as many as you declare. The switch case statement will execute the statement in the first case clause whose value matches. If there is no matching case clause is found, then the switch case statement looks for the optional default case. So this is the condition. If you are writing switch case, then there should always be a default statement mentioned in the switch. So what default clause is available, it executes the statement in default clause. So if there are you are declaring 12 cases and all the 12 cases fails, then there should be a default. If you have not declared that default statements, then you may be get in trouble. If the matching case clause doesn't have the break statement, the program execution will continue at the next statement in the switch case statement. So let us imagine there is a scenario, there are 12 cases, and in the first case, the condition has been satisfied, and you have not declared break. Then it will directly go to case 2, and if break is not in case 2 also, it will go in case 3. But If you have written a break statement in case 1 and case 1 statement condition is satisfied, then it will end there. So it will not execute the case 2 to case 12 cases. So by convention, as I told, the default clause is the last clause in the switch case statement. However, it doesn't need to be so. So default is always written in the last statement, because any case, if it is not matched, then it goes to the default case. So next is the for statement. So the for loop or the for statement creates a loop. It consists of three optional expressions separated by semicolons. As you can see in this slide, there is initialization, condition, and expression. So initialization, it is an expression evaluated once before the loop begins. Typically, you use the initialization to initialize a loop counter. So let's imagine we have to declare a counter, and we have to initialize that counter. So we can use like let counter equal to 0, or if we have declared already in a number, then counter equal to 0. Second is the condition. So condition is an expression that is evaluated at the end of each loop iteration. So if the condition is true, then statement in the loop body will execute. So like condition will be counter is less than the count any like I of length, or any variable dot length. So that will be the last thing. So if the length is 10, so the loop will go till 10th position from 0 to 10. And third is the expression. So expression that is evaluated before the condition is evaluated at the end of each loop iteration. So generally you use the expression to update the loop counter. So like the counter will start from 0, and it should go to the 10th. If the length is 10, then it should go from 0 plus 1 plus 2. So if you we have to write like counter plus plus, so it will add the loop, add the plus 1 to the loop. But all these three are optional. It is not necessary you need to mention it. So if you don't want to mention it, you just write the semicolons in the for and the statement. So moving to the next slide, we have while statement. So the while statement allows you to create a loop that executes a block of code as long as the condition is true. So it evaluates the condition before each loop iteration. So if the condition evaluates to true, the while statement will execute the code. It's the body surrounded by the curly braces. So when the condition evaluates to false, the execution continues with the statement after the while statement. So since the while statement evaluates this condition before the body is executed, so the while loop is called as the pre-test loop. So if you want to break the loop immaturely based on another condition, you use if and break statements. So in while only, where we have written the do something, there only we declare a if condition and we break the loop. But it's as I said, it will be the immature method. So next control statement is the do while. So do while loop is similar to the while loop, except that the do while loop doesn't evaluate the condition for the first time. However, the condition is evaluated for the subsequent iterations, which means the code block will execute at least once in the do while loop. So in do while loop, the condition will happen at least once. So this ends our control flow statements. So there are break and continue, which we have already covered in the switch cases. So these were the control statements that are daily use in the developer's life. So we mostly use if else and for and switch cases in our live scenarios. You can learn more things in the web. The link has been already shared in the about sections in the channel. So moving further, we will look into functions in TypeScript. So functions are basically the building blocks of readable, maintainable, and reusable code. So like JavaScript, you use the function keyword to declare a function in TypeScript, but it's not necessary to type function keyword. So you pass a parameter which will be having a data type mentioned. So we will be passing string if parameter declared is number, and it will throw error. So basically, if we are passing, we have declared the parameter as number, and we are passing a string in it, so it will throw error. So you cannot pass a string in a number variable. So these were the functions. Other all, there are many different things in functions too. So there you can overload the function too, which are called as function overloading. So function overloading allows you to establish the relationship between the parameter type and result types of a function. So that will be covered mainly in the Angular when we will go into Angular sections sessions. So yeah, thank you for everyone for watching this video. So this was the last video for TypeScript basics. So we will look into advanced things in the next video, which will cover like classes, interfaces, getter and setter, and much more. If you like this video, do like, share, subscribe to the channel for the latest updates. You can send me your queries on the mentioned email ID. Thank you.